Please give me your name and where you're from.
I was born Rhonda Baker in Flint, Michigan. But, you know, everybody seeks out who they are, and I just happen to know who I am, and I'm glad to know that. So, Sahj Kaya or Sahj or Kaya. When I was 7 years old, after having taken like a sugar cube or something, it had affected my body to where all of a sudden I wasn't, my muscles started to get weak. I couldn't walk very fast. I started walking really slow as a child. You know how kids, they jump up and they cut out running when the bell rings. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't, all of a sudden, for some reason, when I started walking, I couldn't jump up and run anymore. And my legs felt so heavy, and I felt like I couldn't move very fast at all, just slow. And eventually, my father took me to get tested at the hospital. I should say right before that, when I was 6 years old, my mother passed away. Okay, and so my father was taking care of the family. I got sick. He didn't know what was going on. He took me to the hospital and to do tests on me. After a variety of tests over several years, they had diagnosed, well, the first year, they had diagnosed me with muscular dystrophy. That's what they were thinking it would be, because they thought lupus, they thought whatever, but then they said, okay, well, we think it's muscular dystrophy. Well, then they told me that, or told my father really while they were standing at my bed, that, well, she has muscular dystrophy. What it does is it turns the muscles into fat, which breaks down the immune system, and what would probably happen is she'll probably get pneumonia and die because she doesn't have any immunity to protect her because her muscles are turning into fat.
And they said this in front of you.
Yeah, well, I'm a 7-year-old kid laying in the bed, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, yeah, right, okay. So they said, if she's got brothers and sisters, that's what he said. He said, yeah, well, you need to take her home to be with her family because she's not gonna, you know, live very long. I was like, so he took me home, and I deteriorated, you know, more and more until I got to the place where I couldn't do anything but roll my eyes and move my fingers a little bit. I had an older sister that took care of me while I was an invalid. I mean, she had to turn me from side to side throughout the night, you know, so I wouldn't get bed sores, and I did get some, you know, but I couldn't do anything, and it got so bad that they would even take that cream of wheat or something like that and try to spoon feed me, and it wouldn't stay down my throat. So, you know, after lots of prayer and everything, my father came one night after I had this dream about my mother coming back and getting me, and she picked me up and she would carry me to the door and say, I'm going to take you with me now and you're going to be all better. Well, I said, Mom, I can't go with you yet. There's something I have to do here first. Okay? And I woke up, and then my father was there by the bed, and he said something and spoke to me and told me to give you this juice. And he gave me this juice, and from that day forward, I started getting better. But the reason why I stayed in the wheelchair was because when they took me for tests, this one physical therapist took my heel and took my knee, and he pushed down on my knee as hard as he could and pulled up on my heel as hard as he could, and he tore my legs. As a 7-year-old child. But this was during the 60s, race riots going on, and obviously he had some challenges with a little chocolate child. This child that he, you know, felt some animosity toward, he tore my legs, and that left me in the wheelchair 10 years of my life, and began the chronic pain issue that I still even suffer with today. Because after that, I had to, for the next, 7 to 18, I ended up having 9 major surgeries where they had to remove some bone from my thighs to shorten my legs, because after he tore my legs, I drew up in a fetal position, which developed contractions behind my knees and hips, which shriveled up the muscles, you know. and it grew together like that. So they had to shorten my legs, you know, by taking about an inch of bone out of my thighs, move my knees up and pin them together, and then take the muscles and transplant it from the front to the back in order to stretch it long enough for my legs to be straightened out. And then they said they still didn't know if I was going to walk again after that. And they had never done that type of surgery before, and it was a spirit. They said they didn't even know if I'd be able to tolerate the pain. But I said, well, where I'm at, I don't want to be here, and I'm going to move to the next level, and I'll deal with it as I come to it. So that is one of the reasons I have the chronic pain that I have. And after that, I did start walking with long leg braces. I went on and graduated from high school, went on to college. But when I was 15, I was in the wheelchair, and this is when my experience with cannabis began. When I was in the wheelchair, I developed these, like, they're like, you ever felt a rock all rugged and edgy, you know, it's hard and just scratchy and everything? I had those lying down my spinal cord. I still don't know to this day why, but I know that they were there. They were like lumps, you could feel them, and it hurt so bad. I was in pain so much I was incoherent, especially with the drugs that they were giving me, like Darvons and Darvocet and, you know, whatever they were giving me. It was just making me incoherent. Wasn't taking away the pain. I still laid in the bed crying in pain and sleeping all the time, until someone came to me with a cannabis joint. And I took it, and my first response was, hey, I don't do drugs. You know, because they got us automatically like that. And I'm a child, and I'm saying, I don't do drugs. You know, and, this person said to me, you know, I've seen you take all these other medicines. All you do is, you're all in pain all the time. You know, I'm not going to give you anything that hurts you. You know, try this, and if it works, good. If it doesn't, okay. So I began to pray over it. Because I've always was a praying child from the very beginning. I always had that open relationship with the Spirit, you know. Because I didn't have anybody to tell me that it didn't exist. So I communicated with the Spirit from, I remember, 5 years old. You know, even when I've heard the audible voice of the Spirit conversing with me as a child. So, and it wasn't strange to me because nobody told me that there was anything wrong with it. So there you go. But anyway, so I prayed over it, and I asked the Spirit and the Creator to show me what it would do to me. I said, make me cognizant, make me aware of how it's going to affect my mind, how it affects my body. Show me if this is something that's going to be good and beneficial for me, or show if it's going to be something that's not good for me. But I'm going to try this, you know. And I tried it. It smoothed those knots out of my back. I was able, it elevated, that's why I wrote one of my poetry books called Living Above the Pain and Sacrifice. It took me above the pain. It didn't make me high, but it took me above.
You said that you used cannabis.
Yes.
And it helped you with these knots in your back.
Yes, it smoothed them out.
Let's move on from that.
Okay.
Let's move on from that. Now what happened?
How did it? Well, first of all, I wasn't able to go to school because I was in so much excruciating pain all the time. When I started using the cannabis, I wasn't in pain anymore, so I could think reasonably and rationally and focus and concentrate on my work in school. I became a 3.8 student. Still in a wheelchair, but my mind, not tormented with pain from my body, was able to think. And I even had tutors. You know, not a lot of tutors, because I couldn't go to school all the time because I was always in and out of the hospital. Okay, so, but I still, when I was there, became a 3.8 student. One of the other things that it helps me with is, I have, other than the pain, one of the reasons the pain is because my muscles tighten up so tight, and that causes pain. And what the cannabis does is it creates elasticity in the muscles, where when I don't have it and try to move it, it hurts really bad. And when I do take my medicine, and it makes me want to stretch and it feels good. Now, isn't that amazing? Now, how does that work? This is the interesting part. After about, I guess it was in walking about 7 years, graduated from the University of Missouri, had gotten married to a wonderful man who just loved, love. He loved creation. He loved love. He loved people. He loved children. So we talked about that stuff a lot, and we ended up getting married and graduated and moved back to Kansas City. And then we were going to go to a believers convention in Atlanta, Georgia, where Kenneth Copeland was preaching, Kenneth Copeland Ministries. And so we were going to go there during the Memorial Day holidays. So on May 24th, 1982, we were on our way there and an 18-wheeler truck hit us from behind. And both of us were killed instantly, and we went to the other side. Now, when we got over to the other side, we talked for a minute. And he was like, if living for God means I got to die and be without you, I don't know if I could do it. And I said, we made a vow to the Creator that whatever it would take to reveal the true nature of the Creator and the creation, we would do it. And you're here, we're not really dead. It's like, but even though people may think that. And I went before the Mother Creator, and I had talked. It was almost like finishing out your graduate classes in spirituality or something, your PhD, and then we had this talk, and the mother actually asked me, what will you do? She was giving me a choice whether to stay or to come back and fulfill the vow that I had made. When I came back, I was in a body cast. This was the 3rd time of my life. My arm was crushed. As you can see, I got, a plate that goes from here to here, and there's 8 screws in it. And, in the cold winter, it's excruciating pain when cold gets in it, and it goes all through my neck and down my back. Then the braces, when it gets cold, it goes into my body as well.
How are you dealing with all this pain and discomfort? And you said you were depressed.
Mm-hmm. The cannabis did. It healed me. It relieved me of the pain and the sorrow. It made me see things realistically. Now, other people will say, "Well, it just made you, have a happiness that wasn't real." But it is real. Because all of these things, there's a scripture that said, weeping endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. Yeah, we all go through things, but if we look at the glass half full instead of half empty, we can overcome anything. If we know that all things work together for good, even things that doesn't seem like it's good, it just keeps me out of pain. It keeps me living above the pain so that I can continue to actively function in the community to make the needed changes that we need to make, to talk to people. I'm articulate enough to have a conversation with people to make them understand or help them to understand, the difference between drug addictions or the pharmaceutical drugs that don't really help us, and our rights, those things called inalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Any form of government becomes destructive whereby these rights are not secured. It's your right, your duty, to alter or to abolish it and create new government. Mm-hmm. That's what it's about. Either we pay their check and they do what we need for the well-being of us all, or they're out. We get rid of them. And if we don't and you continue to suffer, that's on you. Mm-hmm. But the choice is ours.
Thank you. I appreciate you giving us.
Yes.
It's just so good to have you working with us and
yes.
doing this fight, and we will win.
Yeah, we're gonna win. We're gonna win, because the only way that they're winning now, like I said before, is a lack of knowledge. And we're going to educate people so that they know exactly what's going on. A lot of them know, but they need leaders to come out and say, yes, you're right.